Do you remember when Canada's Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault said that he had done an analysis and determined that Canada just doesn't need any more roads? Well, I asked for that analysis. What do you think I found? I'll give you a hint. It was pure liberal misinformation.
What I said is, and I specified that I should have been more specific in that conference that I gave last week in Montreal. I was referring specifically to projects like the Troisième Lien. But in that same conference, I specified that we still have funds, obviously, to maintain and enhance our road network across the country.
I can tell you, we're going to continue investing money in roads. Anyone who thinks that you can stop building roads has obviously not traveled outside of Montreal very much and doesn't understand how big this country is and doesn't understand what it takes to get to some of our resort communities. So I would say that the Environment Minister has once again demonstrated how tone deaf he is on anything to do with environmental issues.
It was a normal day in mid-February when Steven Guilbeault, our well-traveled climate minister, said this exact quote at a Liberal fundraiser. Our government has made the decision to stop investing in new road infrastructure. Of course, we'll continue to be there for cities, provinces, and territories to maintain the existing network, but there will be no more envelopes from the federal government to enlarge the road network. The analysis we have done is that the network is perfectly adequate to respond to the needs we have. And thanks to a mix of investment in active and public transit and in territorial planning and densification, we can very well achieve our goals of economic, social, and human development without more enlargement of the road network. Did you see the word he used there? Analysis. What analysis? We'll get to that in a second. The kooky comments from Gilbo garnered some well-deserved outrage and mockery across the board. Even liberal mainstream media journalists were getting in on the action for once.
And now they're saying that they're going to take away building roads in this country. I think it's an extreme position from an extreme environment minister. And the Poilievre government will continue to build the roads that Canadians need to get goods to market, to get their kids to school, and to get to work. This is the sort of thing, again, that divides Canadians. It's a very extreme policy that will keep Canadians stuck in traffic. That seems to be the goal here, is to drive people out of their cars, and that's an extreme position. We need to invest. We need to build the things that Canadians need.
And for his part, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was so rattled by the comments of his climate minister that he tried to claim credit for roads built by the Harper government some 7 full years before Trudeau's own election in 2015.
The Environment Minister Guilbeault has commented that this government will no longer invest in roads. We have Northern First Nations that came out last week asking the province and the federal government to invest in an all-weather road system. It's the middle of February. Those roads have just opened. Climate change is a problem there. Will you invest in that?
The minister clarified his comments, that he was speaking about a very specific project in Quebec City. The reality is, since 2008, this federal government has stepped up massively on investing in infrastructure right across the country. And it's a contrast, not just with the Conservative government that preceded us, but the Conservative Party in Ottawa right now that continues to stand against investments in infrastructure, against the kinds of investments that help communities, because all they're proposing is cutting the investments, including in infrastructure, that Canadians are relying on. We will continue to be there.
And Gilbo, well, he was doing his best to do what Liberals do, and that's dodge accountability. He refused to appear before a House of Commons Transport Committee to explain how on earth he concluded that the world's second largest country by land mass, with our sparse but growing population, all of a sudden doesn't need road infrastructure. Gilbo even tried to pretend that he didn't say exactly what he said.
What I said is, and I specified that I should have been more specific in that conference that I gave last week in Montreal. I was referring specifically to projects like the Troisième Lien. But in that same conference, I specified that we still have funds, obviously, to maintain and enhance our road network across the country. But I was talking specifically about projects like the Troisième Lien that the CAQ government in Quebec wants to move forward with, which is something myself and many of my Quebec cabinet colleagues have said time and time again. This is not a new policy at all.
And then he tried to claim that he had misspoke.
That's not what I said.
Yes, it is.
Wait.
I can read it back to you.
What I have said is that the solutions to our transport challenge pass by many different things, including massive investment in public transit, including investment in electrification of transportation. And of course we're funding roads. We have programs to fund roads. What we have said, and maybe I should have been more specific in the past, is that we don't have funds for large projects like the Troisième Lien that the CAQ has been trying to do for many years.
Our government has made the decision to stop investing in new road infrastructure.
I just told you that I should have been more specific in that statement and specified that it was project like the Troisième Lien, which myself and many of my colleagues have said many times that the federal government had no funds for a project like this. And you can look back and you will find numerous statements by myself and many other cabinet colleagues on this specifically.
You said we had all the roads we need. You said you had all the roads we need.
But did he misspeak, really? Or did he just flat out lie, especially about having the data to support his claims? I went digging, thanks to your donations to our Paper Trail Accountability Fund at rebelinvestigates.com. Here's what we asked for. We asked the ministry to provide a copy of the analysis referenced by the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change regarding Canada's road networks. And we put in the exact quote, "The analysis we have done is that the network is perfectly adequate to respond to the needs we have." And we referenced the Toronto Sun article on the whole affair, just to be clear, so that everybody knew exactly what we were talking about. Now here's what we got back. After a thorough search, no records were found concerning this request. I think if we sent a request for records on Gilbo's brain or his integrity, no records would be found there either. Gilbo didn't misspeak. Gilbo made it all up. He peddled misinformation. He just didn't think he would get caught. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. One of the most important things we do here at Rebel News is holding the powerful to account. And I like to hold them to account for the things they say and do behind closed doors when they think nobody is listening or watching. That's why access to information is so important. But we don't take a penny from Justin Trudeau. We rely on you at home to support our work. If you would like to help fund our paper trail investigations just like this one, please consider making a donation at rebelinvestigates.com.